Hi.
Hello.
My name is Angie. This week actually marks 4 years since I learned to be what became certified to be a meditation teacher. So time has flown, and I've taught lots of people in the area meditation and mindfulness, and it's been a true joy. The reason I got into meditation was about 7 years ago or 8 years ago. I just sort of hit a wall in my life. I guess my emotional state, my personal life, my mental health just all came to a kind of a dramatic stop, and I didn't really want to go put myself on antidepressants or go to a therapist or anything like that. I really didn't know what my problem was, but I suffered for kind of in silence for a while, and then all of a sudden I got sort of a prompting, or something sort of whispered in my ear, "Why don't you try meditation?" And I thought that was insane. I just thought, no way, that's not for me. But it kept bugging me, and so my curiosity got the best of me, and that led me to Google. And Google, what do you do when you want to know anything? Is you go Google it. That's what I do. And what I found out was just the science behind meditation, and the real people that practice it, and the real life benefits and stories of just average, everyday, ordinary people really won me over right away. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is for me. I don't care what I have to do, where I have to go, how much I have to pay to do this. I'm going to do it, and I did, and it's changed absolutely everything in my life. So I decided a few years after learning the practice to teach it. I never thought I'd be a teacher, never thought I'd be standing in front of people talking about anything. I'm sort of a quiet, shy person in the back, but it's been great, and I just can't speak enough about the great, wonderful benefits that it can have for you, and on so many different levels too. And I really like to talk about meditation, and the reason why I wanted to become a teacher here is because I just wanted to bring it out of sort of the mystery and into the ordinary, and just demystify it. There's plenty of worldviews you can practice or adopt that include meditation, religious practices that include meditation, and that's meditation fits perfectly in any worldview, any belief system that you have or don't have. But I just wanted to come at it from a completely neutral point of view, and just teach people that, hey, this is an amazing tool. Anybody can use it, anybody can do it, kids can do it. I've taught kids, moms, executives, everybody under the sun, all kinds of people. So it's just and I just wrote some words up here because I'm just going to talk, and I want you to ask me questions as we go. I don't really know what I'm going to say until I get up here. So I hope that I cover some of these words and topics, and just keep them in mind, and see if you can relate to or find these concepts and the things that end up coming out of my mouth. So that's a little bit about me, and I just wanted to start by doing this beautiful bowl, and then we'll talk a little bit about what happened when we did this little practice. So this is your first experience, and by the way, I'm sure there's people in here who have practiced meditation. Is that true? Of some kind? Okay, great. And some that haven't ever practiced any kind of meditation? That's totally fine. Don't be scared. So this is just a beautiful Tibetan bowl, and it's hammered brass, I think. And they come in all sorts of sizes, and they have all these beautiful intonations, and I just got it. So it's my new little toy. And the thing about meditation, though, that I like to say is you don't need anything to do the practice. You don't need this. You don't need, special clothes. You don't need to sit in a special way. It's not about being able to fold yourself into yoga poses. You don't need to chant. You don't need to have candles or incense or any of that. You don't need any of that. You just need you in a relatively quiet, undisturbed place, okay? So we're going to do this little thing where I'm going to have you close your eyes, and then I want you to just listen for the tone, and as soon as you don't hear it anymore, I want you to raise your hand. And I'll keep my eyes open, and when everybody's raised their hand, then I'll tell you to open your eyes. So just be patient and raise your hand when you stop hearing the tone. had to get up in here. So what you just did there was you used your attention use your awareness to pay attention to something outside of you. So this is an example of how meditation is a training for our awareness. And what we did was we took this thing called awareness and we focused it on something. The sound was the focus. And while you were doing that, you probably weren't thinking about all these other things that you normally think about. Maybe you had some other thoughts, but for the most part, you were probably fairly focused on the sound, because that's a pretty easy focus. So that's what meditation is. All it is it's a way to train your awareness to focus on something. There's all different ways to do that. The sound is one, looking at a picture is another, or a candle flame, listening to a chant or doing a chant is another. Actually paying attention to your flow of thoughts is another way to meditate. But the way that I teach, it's a method that is self-transcending meditation, where you use a mantra that keeps your awareness inward instead of outward. So it's really a lot of great things happen when we regularly, daily, consistently take our awareness and turn it inward and keep it there with a mantra. One of the best things that happens is that everything in our physiology slows way down and relaxes. And it's really about the nervous system. My teacher, who taught me to be a teacher, is named Sarah McLean, and her mantra, her mission statement is, I'm bringing peace to the world one nervous system at a time. This is how powerful it is to have a nervous system that is calm, that is in the relaxation response versus the fight or flight response. So does anybody know what I mean when I say relaxation response versus fight or flight response? Does that resonate? You know what that is? Mm-hmm. Well, that's how we're made. Our nervous system is operated by two separate systems. One is the sympathetic nervous system, the other is the parasympathetic nervous system. So that fight or flight response is how you feel when you get cut off in traffic and you're triggered, or somebody's, just grabbed your purse and they're running down the street, or you see your child in danger, in imminent danger, that immediate sort of, get ready to act. And it's really helpful in certain situations, like when we had to, run from a saber-toothed tiger, or we had to climb up a tree, to literally save ourselves or whatever. And we still have those same primordial instincts in our brain. They're back here in the amygdala, in the old limbic system part of our brain. The problem is that while that's helpful for short amounts of time, we are chronically in that state. Well, a lot of us are chronically in that state of fight or flight. And our brain doesn't know the difference if we get cut off in traffic versus a life-saving, action needs to take place. So it will go ahead and release all those stress chemicals throughout your whole body, and not really, be able to reason with you and say, wait a minute, you don't need to get upset here, because that's not the part of the brain that reasons. This part of the brain reasons. But when you've triggered the limbic system or the amygdala, you're automatically releasing stress hormones like cortisol, epinephrine, adrenaline, and that is what is really detrimental to our well-being, to our physical well-being, because when we're in that state, then the natural healing mechanisms that we're designed with, that our body has, they're not working. They're disabled. So that's the reason why we need to manually turn the switch sometimes from the stress response to the relaxation response in our nervous system. So when we're in the relaxation response, we get all those yummy, juicy, feel-good hormones and chemicals, and then our body can just take care of itself. It can tend to the organs, regenerating the cells, getting proper sleep, all those things that are really necessary for health. But like I said, in this day and age, so many of us are suffering from chronic stress that we don't really even find ourselves in that state where natural healing can take place anymore. So this is another reason why a lot of people come to learn meditation, is they say, I'm stressed. Stress is killing, and stress is killing us. It's true. They say that 80% of the people that walk through a doctor's doorway have something that is caused by or exacerbated by stress. And the fact is a doctor can't give you a pill for that. They can't give you a pill for stress, for solving stress. So that's really up to you to decide, okay, how can I change my relationship to stress? Because let's face it, stress is never going to disappear. Stress is really not anything other than a thought, a feeling, or belief about something that's happening. And that right there is kind of mind-blowing. There's never anything that's happening that is actually stress. It is your relationship to what's happening that's causing you stress. So when you get your control back and you're in sort of this relaxed state of being on a daily basis, then what happens is you get to make better choices for you that are more nourishing for you. You're not constantly triggered. You have more space between what's happening and how you decide to relate to it or respond to it. And that's what they say. Some people say when they start a meditation practice, they feel like they have more space, more time. And I really did experience that almost like the first time I learned to meditate, is I felt a space kind of open up in my own mind. So like space between my thoughts. And when you do that every single day, then the way you relate to people, the normal interactions that you have, the reactions that you have, totally change. And it doesn't happen overnight, but over time, as you're switching your nervous system from fight or flight to relaxation, you end up feeling a lot more like, okay, there's all this crazy stuff going on, and I'm pretty chill. What's going on here? And a lot of my students will say, right away, this boss that would just knew what buttons to push, I'm able to just be there and witness what's happening and then decide, okay, how do I want to respond to this? And if you think about how empowering that is, that's really amazing. I mean, that is what, children, teenagers, like teenage boys, for example, and my 13-year-old daughter, you can see they don't have the capacity for this yet. They're just, And as a mother and as a father, we learn to just sort of let them, witness what they're doing, not try to control or jump in. But they haven't learned these tools yet. But the fact is that so many adults don't learn it either. Nobody teaches you how to do that. So we get in these patterns of this is how we relate to the world because this is what I've always done. And so it's this habitual, conditioned mindset that we have. This is the way it's always done. This is what I see, so this must be the way it is. And if I'm suffering, there must be something wrong with me. Well, there's nothing wrong with you. We just haven't learned how to make space between what is happening and how we choose to respond. So that's one of the other things about meditation is it really does a number on your mindset. It really trains your brain. And this habitual conditioned thinking that we're all spinning the same record over and over again. We're telling ourselves the same story. They say, you've heard that thing about we only use 2% of our brain or something like that. That's not actually the way it is. The way it is we use a lot more of our brain. We use almost all of our brain is being used. But 98% of the time, we're just doing the same thing, thinking the same things over and over again. So it's really not being used to its full capacity. We're just rehashing things over and over again. To break this requires a new practice. And when we meditate every day, we're training our brain to do one thing at a time. We're training the nervous system to go from fight or flight to stress response. So as you do this every day, it's like grooving a brand new record. And you actually are making new neural pathways in your brain. So that's a real thing. A neural pathway is a habit. So if there's something you've done habitually, it's a neural pathway that's, like I said, a groove and a record. And you can reprogram your brain to do different things. Our brains are elastic. There's a thing called neuroplasticity. And they used to think that by age 28 or 30, what you got, whatever your brain was, that was it. You're done. That's your brain forever. But that's not true. Our brains are flexible and malleable, and everything that we feed it will alter it. So we can regroove the record, and we can develop new habits and new neural pathways. So even the most triggered, reactive, stress ball of a person can reprogram themselves to be, a total pussycat. So this word here, stress, is really what it's all about as far as our health goes, because if we don't handle our relationship with stress, it's just going to have its way with us, and it will have its way with us, and it will scream at us eventually through the form of disease, unhappiness, unsatisfaction, and whatever, depression, anxiety, cancer. All of this is based on a stress that we're accumulating in our bodies. When we meditate every day, the technique that I teach, every day you sit and meditate, we're dissolving the accumulated stress that's been stored in our bodies since we were little. So there's really nothing else that we do besides sleep that dissolves stress and restores us. Sleep is the number one way for restoring our bodies, but we're not sleeping as good as we used to because we're stressed out. So it's a cycle, right? So one of the other things people will say after they learn a meditation practice is, wow, I'm sleeping so much better. And that's beautiful. That's exactly what we want you to be able to do, is sleep better. So we talked a little bit about awareness, and I'm going to do a little exercise with you because I really love this. This is such a juicy word, and it's such a juicy thing. It's really hard to define it, but we can experience it. We don't need to define it. We can experience it, our own awareness. And it's probably not something you've ever thought about before. So I just want you to close your eyes. There's no pressure. No big deal. We're just going to close our eyes and get comfortable. And I want you to put your awareness on your left hand. Direct your awareness to your left hand. And without, doing anything other than directing your awareness there, I just want you to start to sense your left hand, how it feels. Any sensations? Can you feel the heartbeat, the blood pumping in your left hand? Does it feel warm or cool? Does it feel big or small? And now just simply and gently redirect your awareness to your right hand. And do the same. How does the right hand feel? You notice anything about the right hand that's different from the left hand? And go ahead and open your eyes. So what you just did was you directed your awareness and you paid attention to something. And this is a really revolutionary idea, that I have this thing called awareness, and I can choose where to put it. And this, in fact, is the only thing you have control over, is where you put your own awareness, what you pay attention to. If you think about that for a minute, nobody can do that for you. Nobody can take your attention and put it somewhere. You decide where it goes. And there might be things that are charming or things that are really interesting to you, but you still are the one in control of where you put your attention. And they say that whatever you pay attention to enlivens. So if you think about that for a minute, if you think about walking into a dark warehouse and you have a flashlight in your hand, and there's lots of things in the warehouse, but you have no idea what they are. So you take your flashlight and you shine it on something. That is like your awareness. Whatever you're shining the light on is what enlivens for you, is what becomes real to you, is what you experience, what you have the capacity to interact with. Now if you take your flashlight and move it over here, you have a whole nother experience, a whole nother set of things to contend with. So you think about that in daily life. Think about the things that you're paying attention to every day, like on the news, or, the ails of the world. Not that we should ignore things, but where are you putting your attention every day? What your attention is sort of like your currency. This is the one thing you have that you can give to something or someone. Where are you paying attention? Because whatever you're paying attention to is what you're going to experience and what's going to enliven for you in your life. So what meditation does is every morning when we meditate, or every afternoon when we meditate, we're taking our awareness and we're turning it inward, and we're paying attention to a mantra, and we're learning how to direct our attention on one thing at a time, and we're letting the body relax and get really, really quiet and rid ourselves of stress. And so as you gain more power over what you pay attention to, everything in life has the potential to change, completely change. And that's a really powerful thing. It's hard to describe to you that. It's something you have to experience. But yeah.
So what you're saying, because we see a lot of people that use the word busy or think that they are extremely busy.
Right.
But so what you're saying, through a meditation practice, you can shift your brain to realize that it's your own thoughts that are creating, like you're focusing on that, and that's why you seem so busy. Is that what it would do for you?
Yeah, we're definitely in a culture of busy. I mean, that's for sure. We actually think we're doing a lot of things at once really well, and the fact is we're not doing anything very well, and we're trying to do more than one thing at a time. We can really only do one thing at a time.
Right.
So when you employ a mindfulness practice, which is basically paying attention to what's happening while it's happening, that's a way to focus your awareness on one thing at a time without judging it or telling a story about it. But if you can employ mindfulness into your day, you'll actually be more productive, and when you practice mindfulness, you'll get actually more things done. So the idea of busy is just, it's sort of a fallacy. It's sort of something we tell ourselves. It's an idea. We've sort of bought into the idea that if we're busy, we must be successful or doing a really good job. But that's really not the case at all. Yeah, so mindfulness is something we can practice every day that would help us kind of break the habit of thinking we need to be busy and thinking we're really doing all these amazing things.
Right.
But yeah, the seated meditation practice would be another way to just help yourself be able to focus on one thing at a time, and then feel a little more, give yourself that space. You know, what do I need to do right now? Make more nourishing choices. What needs to happen right now? Do I really need to answer that phone call? Do I really need to respond to all of these people that need my attention right now? Everyone wants your attention. Everyone's vying for your attention. Like I said, you get to decide where you put it. So it's wise to be mindful about, okay, where am I going to pay attention right now? You know, the things we think we need to do, not so much. That's where you just bring mindfulness to it. Just for a moment, bring your awareness inward. What needs to happen right now? And then that can help you kind of break that habit.
Cool.
This is such a broad topic, it's hard for me to stop talking about this. And I haven't really talked about everything I want to say, but there's really, meditation, in my opinion, is the foundation for health and wellness. It's a mind, body, spirit. It touches all three, mind, body, spirit. I didn't really talk about the spiritual connection or the spiritual aspect, but what I have discovered is that meditation gets you in touch with your true nature, of who you really are, not who you think you are, or who your mom and dad tell you you are, or who the world tells you are, or how much money you have in your bank account, or what kind of job you have, or what kind of car you drive, or any of that. It gets you in touch with who you really are. And it helps you to just be more present with yourself and in your life. In this present moment awareness is really crucial. Not only in just being kind of with somebody when you're with them, that paying attention to somebody when you're with them, you're not thinking about, oh, how am I going to respond to them? Or, oh, I can't believe she called me after she dissed me last week. You're just with them and you're connecting with them. And connection is what we all need. That's what we're here for. That's really the nourishing part of life, is connection. So if we can hone these skills to be present with people, then we can show up. We can show up for them when whenever they need we're there for them. We can respond to that. And if we show up for ourselves first through a meditation practice, then we can do the same thing for ourselves. We can decide what's nourishing for me. What do I want? What do I need? Who am I? Who am I really? And that's the spiritual aspect of this. It's really about getting in touch with you and diving into that wellspring of peace and calm and love and joy and nurturing, those qualities that are already in you. There's nothing wrong with any of you or me. We all have everything we need. We just have sort of forgotten how to connect with the stuff inside that's really the most meaningful things.